The time-honored Thanksgiving Eve tradition of getting wasted at your hometown watering hole and finger-banging a high school classmate on the couch in her parents' basement before puking all over your childhood bedroom is on hold this year. Yet another casualty of coronavirus and the tumultuous 2020. But take heart, you can spend your Wednesday getting blackout drunk and listening to a fresh episode of the Savage Sack Tap instead. And bully for you, because there's a fresh one starting right now.
You're listening to the Savage Sack Tap. It's not a podcast, it's not a half-cast, it's just a quick shot to the balls to help you finish off the week. We're cutting through the bullshit, filling your Friday with rage-fueled logic, and cracking a few jokes along the way. So grab a bag of frozen peas. There's a Savage Sack Tap coming your way.
Smooth, lascivious, salacious, outrageous.
What do I usually do here? Oh yeah, I greet you. Yeah, I got a drumstick for you. Happy Thanksgiving. I am Mike Montome. This is the Savage Sack Tap. Apologies. I'm on vacay from work this week, so I'm a little a bit toasted right now on Monday morning. I was just eating, so I made bread yesterday because you can't be a white person and go all the way through coronavirus lockdown without making homemade bread at some point. So I made bread and I made spaghetti and meatballs, and I was hungover on the couch for a while. I went out for celebrated the Marine Corps birthday a week late, as you are allowed to do. I believe they give you a month. The Marine Corps order on the birthday gives you a month to celebrate it. I met up with my old roommate and we had some beers down in Jersey City, and holy shit, it was probably the first time I have seen a lot of like thick fat asses and just sluts everywhere since I want to say since lockdown, or maybe since like summer on the beach or something like that. But we went to the Ashford in Jersey City, and they were like, walking people through to the seating because you still can't mingle, which sucked. That's what sucked. There were fat asses everywhere, no mingling allowed. That was very unfortunate. But they were like walking, parties to and fro to their tables, and some thick, juicy heinies strutting about. So I paid a couple visits to xvideos.com yesterday as well. Anyway, happy Thanksgiving, yeah, Mom, in case you're watching and listening. But yeah, there is the night before Thanksgiving, taken away from us this year, was probably my favorite part of the holiday season from high school through like my mid-20s. I still enjoy it, but I don't know if you'll ever top being 20 years old and getting hammered at your hometown bar over Thanksgiving break, at least as far as the night before Thanksgiving goes. I understand that, yes, there are life experiences that far exceed that in quality. But, yeah, it was great. We used to get shithoused around the bar in my basement, and then we would go to this place called Rivera's, and they eventually got broken up because the crowd there was always incredibly underage. And I think the first time I went there, I was probably like 17 or 18. Like, just no problem getting in. It was a bar in Fair Lawn. And everyone has that bar in their hometown that they know they can get into with or without ID. We were lucky. We actually had two right next to each other. We had Rivera's and Fort Apache, which you have undoubtedly heard stories of on this podcast as well. But for us, the main night before Thanksgiving bar was the Biv, as Rivera's was known. And I guess one year while I was away in Okinawa for Thanksgiving, it got raided, and I think it was a chick whose brother I played football with. I'm not throwing any names out, but I believe she tried to hide in the ceiling and wound up falling through, as the legend goes. And my buddy, a very good friend of mine, also had a drink dumped on his head as long overdue punishment for cheating repeatedly on his high school girlfriend. After she was good enough to transfer to be with him, she transferred from her first choice school that she attended. She transferred to be with him at his fucking shitty tiny college in the sticks in Pennsylvania, and he just made a game of cheating on her all over fucking campus, to the point where I believe she once had to climb out of a second-story window to avoid embarrassment at a house party. What a piece of shit! I just hang out with the biggest assholes. So anyway, he got he was repaid for his philandering with a drink dumped on his head at the Biv. But yeah, what a wonderful night. It was always fun hearing on Thanksgiving morning who hooked up with who the night before, and it was always some bizarre combination that you just never thought, like some nerd with the starting running back, just completely out of left field thing, and I wonder how many times either party had masturbated to the possibility of that encounter leading up, and they were like, oh shit, we have a chance here. Like, you picture some bookish schoolgirl fucking rubbing her clit to the thought of getting railed out by RB1, and then he's been piddling away in the locked bathroom door at his parents' house, jacking off to the chick that always gets an A and finishes the physics tests first. So yeah, good for them. That would always go down. I would always wind up getting back together with my high school girlfriend while I was home on breaks, as many others did. It was a very a sort of time-honored tradition. You go for the old guaranteed hometown nut, as it were. I remember one Christmas I was wearing I love a good Santa Claus hat. I was wearing a Santa hat, and I was getting a mid-morning blowjob on my girlfriend's couch. It was in like this closed little room, so we actually had some privacy, and the door swung open, and it was her mother, and in retrospect, I'm lucky that my erect dick didn't get like shredded on her teeth as I yanked my sweatpants up, but pulled them up faster than I ever imagined possible, and somehow avoiding destroying my shaft in my girlfriend's teeth, got my sweatpants up over my bald, erect, saliva-covered dick in the nick of time. It was like a scene out of like a raunchy teen comedy from the 1980s, like Porky's or something like that, or perhaps more contemporarily, it would be like something out of a mother-daughter three-way porn. Like these days, I feel like in the year 2020, in the age of coronavirus, if your girlfriend's mother walks in while she's blowing you, I feel like these kids have been conditioned to have their girlfriend keep going in hopes that maybe the mother will join in. Thank you very much, Pornhub. But yeah, night before Thanksgiving, you black out, you make regrettable social choices, then you get home, you raid the fridge. I would always devour the next day's appetizers. There'd usually be like a shrimp cocktail, maybe a nice extra tray of stuffing, all sorts of shit sitting in the fridge. I would go to fucking town. Do you know? Wow, yeah. In retrospect, not a good move, but store the fucking food somewhere else. Don't trust a 20-year-old booze-hound meathead to come home drunk at 2 a.m., starving, and be able to pass up a refrigerator full of fucking stuffing and appetizers. Bad move. Anyway, as happens. And I apologize if you hear all sorts of shit going on. My neighbors are running up and down the stairs, so there is a little noise bleed through. Yeah, and then you wake up with a nice hangover. You're farting all over the fucking place because of the booze and the stuffing you ate the night before. So you're gassy and cranky all Thanksgiving Day while your family's there, and your mother has to explain to them that there's a little less food available because someone came home and ate it the night before. Yes, Thanksgiving Eve memories. Thanksgiving Eve was also the night that my buddy was robbed by the hookers in Taipei. Again, a story retold many times on this show. To get right to the point without too much preamble, he was lured to a back room at a bar and was filleted by a team of Filipino bar girls. This was in Taipei, Taiwan. We went over the Thanksgiving '96, and while they took turns pleasuring him, the bartender had his credit card. He had a tab open, and the bartender was calling his buddies all around town who were just running up thousands of dollars worth of charges. And unaware that this had happened, my friend, and believing that the team blowjob was given to him by women who were just driven into the throes of lust by his charm and good looks, he returned to the hotel bragging that he had just had this amazing orgy. And he actually still had one of the hookers with him, and was telling her I was pretending to be asleep in the next room because I didn't want to take any part in his fucking bullshit revelry. I heard him tell the hooker that she had just fucked a future U.S. senator. Hours later, I would be delighted to find out as he tried to take cash out of the ATM before a sightseeing trip. His card was rejected over and over again. The look on his face, talking to his bank on the phone, on that street in Taipei, as he found out that there had been thousands of dollars in charges run up on his card the night before, while he was getting this team blowjob from these Filipino bar girls. And him realizing now that he had been fucking taken, that the whole thing was a honeypot, as it were. I have never laughed so fucking mightily. We were outside of it was like a 7-Eleven on the street in Taipei. And I mean, I was crying, laughing as this was happening. Does that make me a bad friend? Probably. But that doesn't make the situation any less hilarious. But no, none of that this year. The bars are at reduced capacity. I think they have to close at like 10 o'clock. So that's not happening. They did the government does not want people getting together. They're trying to do, it's like a 10-person limit, I believe, in New Jersey. They reduced it to. And I'm sure the governors will be applying those rules to themselves too, right? Gavin Newsom out in California, who was recently photographed dining maskless indoors, and reportedly they tell you that projecting, speaking loudly, is very bad. Because it blasts the coronavirus out there. Apparently, Newsom. His party was so loud that they had to close a door or put up a barrier because it was distracting other people there. So that guy's full of shit. I guess Cuomo's happy. He doesn't have to get together with Fredo and the state trooper who's drilling his daughter. Yeah, he's probably thrilled about that. He's fucking pissed. I'll do an episode on that one day. But if you don't know, Andrew Cuomo, his daughter's allegedly banging this state trooper. So Cuomo allegedly had him transferred off of his security detail. This is what people are saying. This is what I'm reading this kind of stuff in the New York Post. I can't say for certain that this is how it all played out, but one could intimate that Cuomo's daughter was allegedly banging one of the state troopers on his security details. So the young man, described as like a strapping, chiseled former college athlete, hiker, outdoorsman, probably slings one hell of a dick. He was transferred to a security detail or to some post in the most remote part of the fucking state. That would be great. If because there's always this kind of wag the dog shit going on in government. If all of Cuomo's lockdowns and stuff like that were just to avoid spending the holidays with the state trooper who's allegedly plowing his little girl, what a delight. Yeah, I don't know. I have a small we were gonna have a small Thanksgiving anyway. My brother's headed to his wife's family place in Florida which I just found out they do not. Apparently, her family doesn't eat stuffing on Thanksgiving, which it's weird the ways in which you find out that your brother married a psychopath. I love Eugene, a great sister-in-law, beautiful young woman, very intelligent and kind, and a delight to have as a member of the family. But apparently, it just absolute lunatic. I don't know what kind of lunatic doesn't eat stuffing on Thanksgiving. But anyway, that is his cross to bear. Do you know who I feel bad for? Are the incest porn fans out there. You have all these guys. They've been out there. They're waiting all year to fly back to Chicago to see the rest of the family, and the rest of the family, including their hot, horny, barely legal cousins. Right? They've been tugging their peckers all lockdown long, just dreaming. Right back in March, like, oh, it'll be over by November. Right? They're saying 2021, but I'll get home. I'll get home. And they're just dreaming that this will be the year that they can finally make their move, right? She's going to be home from her sophomore year at Michigan. You saw the pictures on Instagram. She rushed the slutty sorority. It looks like she just broke up with her boyfriend. She caught him cheating at like a fucking mixer or whatever with some other slut in her sorority. And she's in that phase now where it's really fun to get drunk at family holidays because her parents, she's 19. Her parents don't give a shit about the drinking anymore. And you got this fucking poor incest porn guy who's been whacking it to third cousin videos on Pornhub all year, and instead of getting to indulge this fantasy in the flesh, as it were, he's going to be stuck home excusing himself to go masturbate to those scenarios on his phone as mom bastes the bird one last time and the Lions game approaches the half. Poor boys. I blame the tyrants in our state capitals. Governor Murphy, Governor Cuomo, Governor Newsom, their cum is on your hands. Hear me now, gentlemen. Their cum is on your hands. I feel like, who's the weirdo who keeps quitting ESPN so he can be in politics? Keith Olbermann. I feel like Keith Olbermann would go off like that. At least there's the food, though, right? Like, you still gotta stuff your goddamn face. I've invoked a huge fish buffet this year for our family Thanksgiving. So we're getting some sushi grade salmon. We're gonna get a bunch of raw bar shellfish, some shrimp cocktail and stuff, and then maybe a little. I might pick up some lasagna, just like a tray from like one of the local places down there. And then my uncle has a recipe for turkey neck soup that is the absolute fucking bomb. And then we get into the bird. We're doing a deep fried bird this year, so I'm looking forward to that. We did have to ban talking politics at the Thanksgiving table. Well, not even the Thanksgiving table, just in general in my family. A moratorium has been placed on talking politics because my parents are the biggest CNN cucks on the planet, and I love them. I love my parents. I have to preface that because, you call someone a cuck, and then they might think that you don't like them. I love you, Mom and Dad, but they are CNN cucks. My mother will believe anything that comes out of Anderson Cooper's mouth. It's absolutely amazing. She thinks that coronavirus is so bad that it would warrant placing Jews inside of ghettos surrounded by armed guards. And I should explain this. She's retired now anyway, so she can't really get canceled or fired or anything like that. But I did have to explain to her that the trouble with her plan, she said that they should, these towns like Lakewood, the Jewish enclaves and COVID hotspots of the New York, New Jersey area, she felt they should be surrounded with large concrete walls, and that New Jersey state troopers should patrol around the outside so nobody could get in or out. And I had to explain to her that such things had actually been tried before, within the last few decades, in fact, and that it might be frowned upon by the Shoah Foundation. And my father is the exact same way with the New York Times, absolute New York Times cuck. If the Times runs it, he believes it, which is weird because the Times of all the fucking outlets is, you know, whatever side you're on. I feel like the New York Times is. People always say it's like Fox News, but I feel like it's the Times and One America are like the two biggest slant factories. You know, the paper of record with probably the worst editorial slant on the planet. There was just an article in like, I don't know, it was like New York Mag, like New Yorker or some shit like that, about like the internal fights at the New York Times, about how they should apply their editorial slant to their everyday news coverage. But yeah, so we've had to place a moratorium on political discussion, which it's, you know, everyone in my family is fucking nuts, and so this is why it's the right move. It doesn't take us very long to go from I disagree slightly to look, cocksucker, shut your mouth and let me speak now. So it's just better. It's just better that we don't get into political discourse around the home. We can barely handle the non-political, so we have to keep we do have to keep the politics out for it. Frankly, if not for the COVID lockdown and guest limits and all that shit, I was foreseeing this year as the year that the term Thanksgiving dinner shooting entered the zeitgeist. Between the election and Black Lives Matter and Antifa and Blue Lives Matter and MAGA and Kamala Harris and Trump and the Epstein homicide and just everything, I really thought that this was going to be the year that gun-owning uncles across the country finally just fucking snapped and shot their pansexual, peanut-allergic, democratic socialist hashtag BLM ally nephews in the face halfway through, like a lecture about the imperialist roots of Thanksgiving and the toxic masculinity inherent in the game of American football. I've been thinking about this since like June, picturing like beer-bellied, mustachioed, QAnon-reading, MAGA-loving, gun-toting, lib-hating Americans who have just been irritated by their little pussies of a nephew for way too long. So, you know, they get a few Miller High Lifes deep, they head out to the car, and they come back with their good old 22, and they blast the little shit's brains all over the mashed potatoes. So maybe it's a good thing that there are restrictions in place this year, right? I think we can all just use a little time to chill out, eat some pie, throw some ice cream on top. That's what I'm doing. No politics. Pie over politics. The pussy and the dessert. I love eating both. If you are going to load up on pie and carbs and all such other shit, which I guess is going to be necessary. I don't know now. I don't know about the Cowboys. When I wrote the notes for this episode, it was that the line was that the Cowboys blow and they can't do anything right. All of a sudden, we beat the fucking Vikings yesterday, and it's like, hey, who knows? But it is the 2020 Dallas Cowboys, so chances are they'll find a way to disappoint, and it's a division matchup against the Redskins. So if they do shit the bed on Thanksgiving, as they have been wont to do from time to time, yeah, load up on some junk food. Yeah, I suggest getting a nice hard workout in the morning, though. I'm a huge proponent of the Thanksgiving Day workout, and I love holiday workouts in general, and I'll talk about this more as the season goes on, but because you're getting all this like extra carb and extra calorie and shit like that, you'll get super pumped, you'll make advances in strength, you'll make gains, as they say, and it's kind of like a two-sided coin, I guess. Not only will you kind of like make more gains if you train hard through the holidays, but you also won't have those negative effects of eating. Well, you will have some negative effects. You're gonna, everyone gets a little soft over the holidays of eating all the junk food. So you'll burn off a lot of that a lot of that stuff too, and you'll feel better. And all like, you know, the days are getting shorter, so you get the seasonal effective stuff. And some people just fucking hate the holidays to begin with. They get a little depressed. They think it sucks. Their family stresses them out. So yeah, holiday workouts are where it's at. My Thanksgiving Day, kind of my ritual. I get up, have my coffee, I smoke some cheeb. I think I'm going to go, normally Thanksgiving Day in the past has been a lift day for me, but because it's, my current lift schedule is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm not planning to adjust off of that. I'm just going to go out, probably hit some nice hard sprints. I'll be down the shore, get some beach sprints in, hit some weights. I have my rings, so I'll probably do some ring pull-ups, some ring dips, and push-ups and all that shit. And then I am contemplating, because I don't believe the polar plunge is going to take place this year, I am contemplating jumping in the ocean, like, real quick after I work out, just to get, at least we get one fucking holiday season swim in. So I'll let you guys know how it goes. If I jump in the ocean, I'll probably take some pictures of it, so I'll probably throw those up on Instagram and Twitter. At Mike Montone, and Instagram at Gary_Moiler if you're not yet following. But yeah, you may as well just jack up that metabolism, take advantage of the caloric surplus by lifting weights, let your muscles eat up all those delicious carbs and protein, and it'll be awesome. Give yourself a good active hour in the morning, and you'll reap the rewards later on. I used to do it when I was younger. I used to do it when I was hungover as fuck. So if I could achieve that, as I was just a raging functional alcoholic for about probably over a decade, then you can certainly do it on a year when the bars are closed. Yeah, so maybe a little extra vanity workout too. A good time to do some extra curls. Pump up those buys. Maybe if you do have that hot, horny, barely legal cousin coming over, and you want to impress her and act out your favorite Pornhub scene. You do that. You get a nice bicep pump going. Yeah. And I love Thanksgiving Day as a gym day because only the most serious, hardcore people are there. No one, the Hoboken gym bros, who I can't fucking stand and I bitch about them all the time, they are nowhere to be seen because they don't have the dedication needed to train during the holidays. I think I've gone a little while without bitching about these guys, and it hasn't been terrible since the gyms opened from lockdown. There have been moments, but this week there were some bad ones. I was waiting for a squat rack because 2/3 of my workout is in the rack right now, and the racks were taken up by guys who were just hanging out on their fucking phones. And the one dude, to his credit, looked like he was just kind of changing songs or whatever, and he was squatting. And he looked like kind of like more of a beginner guy who was squatting. He had like 185 on. Like he's probably just kind of like learning his way through the thing. The other guy was the fucking definition of a Hoboken gym bro. Like he looked like he was probably a decent athlete back in high school, maybe like good enough to play D3 and decided not to. Or maybe he was like just a little bit below the skill level needed for a D3 sport. So he just, he went to college, became a fucking booze hound, didn't even play intramurals after a couple of years, and now he spends all of his extra cash at happy hour and betting sports online, right? Like the epitome of the dad bod. A lot of Chinese takeout, a lot of Bud Lights at the Village Poorhouse or what have you. Somewhat sculpted arms, and he was doing bent over barbell rows in the squat rack, which is just highly unnecessary. You don't need to row in the squat rack. Like, I know curls in the squat rack get a bad name, as they kind of should, but rowing in the squat rack is just as fucking bogus. If you got the gym to yourself, fine, but if there are other people around, go elsewhere. If there are other people around, really the only people using the squat rack should be people who are squatting. Even deadlifting, should take place elsewhere. And as it bothers me when gyms have those rules where you have to deadlift in the rack. That should be taking place elsewhere. You should have separate bars for deadlifting. But these guys, they're just an infuriating fucking breed, and Hoboken is filled with them. They're basic bros, I guess, or basic dudes. I don't know how you would describe them, but they're the male equivalent of the pumpkin spice latte, spin class, brunch eating, Saturday night drunk blowjob giving basic bitch. Which in Hoboken there are so many of these assholes that they're basically like non-player characters. If you're familiar with the term from Westworld, they're not real people. They're like part of the fucking scenery. They exist on a track, just engaging in these stereotype behaviors and fucking around on their cell phones and doing rows and curls in the squat rack while I stand there fantasizing about bashing their skull open with a 10-pound plate is among them. The only good thing that I will say about these guys is that they are so dull, stupid, and fucking useless that they provide very weak competition when I'm trying to bang chicks from online dating apps. So for that, I thank them. What else we got going on here? Oh, you guys know I love a good shit story. You may recall that over on my blog, meatheadmedia.com, and of course on this very podcast, I have shared tales of my own fond memories of defecation from growing up. The time one evening our friend was taking a shit on the neighbor's lawn, and my brother ran up and rang their doorbell. Absolutely hilarious, and our friend had to hobble across the lawn with a turd hanging out of his ass. There's, of course, the time my dad took me to the circus, and I remember I saw the elephants, and I saw them taking a shit on the floor at the circus, which I thought that meant that you could shit on the floor, so I staged a reenactment in our living room later that day, and I proudly showed off to my father what I had done, and he didn't share my enthusiasm for for elephant defecation. There's the time, the 4th of July. I think I was in like 4th grade. I had too much ice cream at the fireworks, and I was running home to get to the bathroom, and I slipped. The sprinklers had been on our lawn, and I slipped on wet grass as I ran home to take a shit, and I hit the ground, and I lost control, and I let out a dookie in my Nike shorts, and so I had to run back. I had to run inside with like damp grass and shit stained shorts, and I just threw them in the hamper and sat naked on the toilet bowl and took a shit. What else? Oh, there was of course the time that someone took a dump in our high school the bathroom near our high school cafeteria. It was so big that it had to be broken up with a plunger before it could be flushed, and people were the gym teacher was guarding the door because it had turned into a spectacle, and they didn't want people crowding in there to look at it before the janitor came to break it up and flush it, and this dude climbed in the window and took a picture of it. Anyway, with that tradition of shit stories in mind, I would like to bring you this little yarn about HGTV star Karen Lane, who has been targeted by what could best be described as a serial break-in shitter. What does I think this is from like People magazine or some shit. The HGTV home renovator had her Indianapolis home burglarized recently, which made for the 3rd time her house had been broken into, and the 2nd time someone left behind a piece of crap as a fuck you. That's what Karen's saying anyway, according to local media. It's funny, you tell me that a TV star had their home defecated on twice, and I would have had to have assumed Los Angeles just because of all the vagrants and the homeless running around. But, Indianapolis, huh? I always thought that people in the heartland were too polite to shit in someone's garage, but I guess not. But maybe it's not a fuck you, though. Maybe the burglar is just getting nervous and dropping trow and taking a dump. Like, I don't know if you've seen that Sopranos episode. Who was it who had to take a shit every time they did a break-in? Sean Gismonti? Like Christopher also mentioned that when Big Pussy used to do break-ins, he would take shit so big that people thought that a bear had been responsible. So perhaps it's nothing personal, just business, right? Perhaps the adrenaline of the crime is what's causing this person to void their bowels in this stranger's garage. But Karen disagrees. What did she tell Fox 59? It's sort of an epithet to say, I poop on you. Lane told another outlet she thinks this is personal because whoever deuced has done so twice now in the same place, the garage, where she says there's an obvious bathroom right there for the using. I poop on you. Yeah, I know she's on HGTV and probably has a woman or as an image to worry about, but I poop on you is just so fucking cringe. Like, just say shit, right? I mean, someone shit in your garage. You can go beyond being polite once someone is defecating in your home. At that point, just say, yeah, someone took a shit here. Someone took a shit in our garage. Don't say, I poop on you. Say, I shit on you. And now I have an erection. I love that she expects the burglar to be polite enough to use the bathroom. Like, he's breaking in and stealing your possessions, but he'll be a good enough chap about things to use the commode instead of duking on the floor. What a nice guy. So, the article continues here. Cops are looped in too, obviously, and she feels they'll be able to catch the crook soon, especially since they're apparently going to test the caca for DNA. I'm gonna be honest. Other than beating perps with a nightstick and blowing through red lights, calls like this must be one of like the huge perks of being a cop. Like, of all the jobs that you could have, think of like some stiff who just goes and sits in a fucking office all day and just puts numbers into a spreadsheet. Getting sent to someone's house to investigate after someone broke in and took a shit on the garage floor, like, that's pretty cool. That's a fun way to spend an afternoon. Finding the mystery shitter. There's just... yeah, I don't know. There's something about it. Whenever a dump or a fart is left somewhere and it makes an impression, even when there's no criminality involved, we want to find out, who done it. Who is the mystery shitter? There are entire rhymes when it comes to farting, right? He who smelt it dealt it. He who made the rhyme did the crime. He who denied it supplied it. If someone goes to the bathroom right after it's been just horribly blown up, the first thing that someone they say when they come out is like, "Wow, who was in there before me?" There must be something so ingrained in our DNA about just loving a good turd. Just something that goes back to the cavemen days. Some Neanderthal coming out of his fucking cave, knuckles dragging on the ground, grunting, and some other Neanderthal passing him, grunting at him on his way into the cave, and then turning right around and coming out and just, ooh. Because the other Neanderthal just left a huge fucking shit. It's been with us for eons, and they're testing the DNA. That's a great note to like wrap that story on. Like, I remember in middle school whenever someone would, like, take a shit or piss on something, like, these guys broke in and took a shit on the principal's desk, or, like, they piss, where would someone take a piss, like in the fucking hallway, I don't know. Did people piss in the hallway? No, I don't know. But you know what I'm talking about. The school was always threatening to test the DNA. I never thought that was a real thing. I guess maybe it is. Maybe if you have HGTV money, they can test DNA for shit, and then they run a scan against a database of other guys who known defecators. I don't know how that widens the dragnet, but yeah. God bless this mystery shitter for shining a light in what has otherwise been an incredibly dark year. You know who's looked like he's having a good year? Scott Disick. He is the guy from the Kardashians, or whatever the fuck that show is. But he's 37, and he's banging a 19-year-old. And good for you, man. A lot of people on Twitter none too pleased, but I tip my cap. The pair were seen. This is, I think, again, People Magazine. The pair were seen together on a date earlier this week, with an afternoon spent at Malibu Beach, where Scott had his arm around Hamlin. But with relationship rumors have also come fierce discussion about their 18-year age gap. And then here's some tweets. It's so sketchy that Scott Disick is dating a 19-year-old. Like, something about it just doesn't sit right with me. What does a man who's nearly 40 want with a teenager? He wants to fuck her. He wants to spend a day at the beach, soaking up the sun, looking at a 19-year-old's tight little ass, and then he wants to take her home, pop a blue chew, and fuck her for a couple hours. I would say he specifically wants to do something exactly like what I just described. Another tweet. Scott Disick consistently dating women younger than 20 is sickening. I don't think it's sickening any more than I would if he was fucking a woman who was 20 years older than. Once you're an adult, you get to fuck whoever you want to fuck, as long as they are also an adult and want to fuck you, right? If this guy's into younger chicks, then he should be commended for keeping it above the age of consent, right? If she's a hot young chick and she wants to use her body to be spoiled by some rich guy who's attracted to her, is that not her prerogative? Next tweet. Good morning. Scott Disick is trending again for dating a girl who cannot legally consume alcoholic beverages. Again. Well, if you ask me, that says a lot more about our draconian legal system than it does anything else, and good day. Speaking of grown-ups banging teens, I'm not sure what to make of the current generation, because I was reading this story the other day about this kid whose teacher is a total piece of ass, by the way, and she took his virginity, but the headline is all about how he was so disturbed and disgusted that he contemplated genital mutilation after the fact. Teacher 25 jailed for sex with teen boy student who considered mutilating his genitals to ward off her advances. And right underneath, they have a picture, and she's 25, and I'd fuck this chick, and I don't know what this fucking kid's complaining about. A British teacher has been carted off to spend 2 years in jail for sexually abusing a 15-year-old boy who was her student and who considered mutilating his genitals to escape her nefarious clutches, the Sun reports. I still don't understand how a hot teacher who gives a teenage boy the thrill of his life has to go to jail. But again, our legal system, and apparently that of the Brits, is quite broken. But in my opinion, this woman poses no threat whatsoever to society. This woman, Faye Mcrobbie, apparently began sexually grooming the boy who would go on to consider genital mutilation when she was a 25-year-old teacher at a school in Berkshire, England. Man, they really do not want us to forget that this guy considered genital mutilation. Which I don't get what they mean. Like, did he consider cutting off his own dick? Why would you do that? I don't, that doesn't make sense. I mean, that's what genital mutilation sounds like to me, is that he considered cutting off his own dick. But did he... I mean, maybe he was you could use one of those, like, spiked male chastity belts where if you get a boner, it stabs you in the dick and your boner goes away and it hurts. Cornflakes. I know cornflakes cereal was originally invented to prevent people from jerking off and getting hard. Maybe he was going to eat cornflakes. But no, I don't understand why, if your 25-year-old smoke bomb of it, if a 25-year-old teacher wants to fuck me, I'm all about it. I don't want to cut my dick. I want to keep my dick so I can use it to fuck my hot 25-year-old teacher right in her dirty little pussy. A little flawed logic here, young man. During the teacher's sex abuse trial, the Reading Crown Court learned how Mcrobbie methodically mutilated the boy's innocence. First, she forced him to join her martial arts class, where she kissed him. Next, she went all in on his genitals and robbed him of his virginity at the house of a friend. Robbed him of his virginity? I mean, you're a teenage boy. You can't give your virginity away fast enough. That sounds like the best day ever. An afternoon of fighting followed by making out and losing your virginity to a grown woman? That's a good time. Like, I'm an adult, and I can't get enough of, like, if a chick invites you over to, like, her friend's place, if you're, like, drinking or whatever, you know you're gonna hook up with her, and it's like you're hanging out with them. There's always something a little extra fun and dirty about it. Even if you don't have a three-way, it's just, like, that kind of energy in the air where you're just like, yeah. Apparently, this kid who gets to experience that with grown women as a teenager is too much of a bitch to appreciate any of this. And I'm really, really starting to hate him. Over the summer holidays, we went to a friend's house. This was the first time we had sex. I felt I wanted to run away. I was very much not ready. It was the first time I was naked in front of someone else. I felt dirty. I could not stand the sight of myself in the mirror, and I felt my innocence had been taken away, he said. What a pussy. Does he realize that he had, like, the best summer vacation ever? My summer vacation... I used to work for the litter patrol in the summer. I had to walk around town picking up cans with one of those claws on a stick. Then I'd have to go lift weights and run sprints for football. I'd go home. I'd get hassled by my parents about, fucking college applications, having a messy room, whatever the fuck. Then I'd go. I'd hang out with my girlfriend. She was a pain in the ass. I'd be in a terrible mood despite getting a blowjob. This son of a bitch gets to spend his summer vacation with his tongue up his little minx of a teacher's asshole, and he has the audacity to complain about it? Shame on you, you little fuck. Jesus. He should take a lesson from another story I'm going to tell you. He can take a lesson from these guys out in California. And I was lamenting how much of a pussy this kid was for not wanting to come all over his teacher's tits, when thankfully I happened upon a New York Post article from last year which helped restore some of my faith in a generation. This chick, Coral Little, Coral Little is something very OnlyFans about that name. And she looks like she's right out of central casting for, like, a slutty teacher or a hot wife next door. And she, exactly that, of course, because she was banging her daughter's boyfriend. And these guys were 14 and 15. And first of all, I will say, weird as fuck. Like, if a grown woman fucks, like, a 17-year-old, like, he's like one of those, like, more mature 17-year-olds, you get older. You kind of understand that. She's just pumping testosterone, and she hasn't, guys her age haven't provided that in decades. That you kind of get. 14 and 15 is fucking bizarre to me, but, good for the kids. I'll say that good for them. If I was 14 or 15, you would have wanted to do it. You would have wanted to bang a fucking a hot coug. That was right when American Pie was coming out for my generation. We were running around chanting MILF. What's the article say? Little plied her daughter's one-time boyfriends with alcohol and cigars and would meet them in parks, parking lots, or even pick them up from their homes and drive them to hers for the raunchy rendezvous until one of them went to the police. I mean, I used to go to the park to drink and smoke cigars when I was 14 and 15 years old. I mean, that's what my friends and I used to do. We'd hang in a parking lot or a park, and we would smoke cigars, and we would drink booze that we stole from our parents or that we got from the older kids. And that's why guys love these stories. Because deep down, like, the best I ever did during a park booze session was I made out with a girl. Woo! Yeah, big fun. This kid banged his girlfriend's mom thanks to a park drinking and cigar session. So we like to think that it could have been us, right? I would love to have been sitting in the park with a lit Dutch Master in one hand, a Snapple bottle full of vodka and lemonade in the other, and my Spanish teacher or my friend's hot mom working on my hog while her tits brush against the top of my thighs. I would have enjoyed that thoroughly. The victim stated this was the last time he had sex with Little because he felt bad shaking Little's husband's hand, knowing what he was doing with Little, prosecutors said. Whew. Talk about shitty. I mean, getting cucked by a freshman in high school, 2 freshmen in high school, is pretty fucking embarrassing. Like, at that point, I think, if that happens to you, if you're a married man out there and a 14 and a 15-year-old fuck your wife, find yourself a motel room, drink your way through a bottle of 151, wrap your lips around a revolver, and say goodbye. How the fuck do you get out-fucked by a teenage boy? I mean, teenage boys they smell like shit. They're not interesting. They say the dumbest things. They do stupid things. They can't hold a load for more than, 30 fucking seconds. They don't know how to eat pussy. They don't know how to dress themselves. They don't have any money. They're just useless, gangly, zit-covered goobers. And you're a grown man getting cucked by 2 of them? It's over. You have nothing left to live for, dude. It is fucking over. I'm picturing the scene in Donnie Brasco where the FBI pulls Joe Pistone out of the operation. You know, when they're about to whack that dude on the boat whose name, incidentally, if you know the story, his name was actually Whack Whack because of his own propensity for homicide. And Agent Pistone and Lefty Ruggiero are sneaking up. They're going to kill him. And at the last second, the feds roll up and they're escorting Johnny Depp away. And they're like, yeah, it's over, Joe. We're pulling you out. I'm picturing that going on, but with this guy's manhood being escorted away from his soul upon finding out that his wife has been taking 14 and 15-year-old dick. Jesus. My compliments to the American teenagers, though. Because that pussy over in England was ready to cut his own dick off so that he wouldn't have to have any more fun summertime romps with his horny martial arts instructor. And we got these 2 couple California golden boys over here running up the score so badly on this freak that they had to invoke the mercy rule. Good for them. Good job, men. That's it, though. People be fucking, right? People be fucking. You know who else be fucking? Soul Cycle instructors be fucking. Apparently they be fucking their clients and getting into all sorts of other zany shenanigans. Soul Cycle instructors were treated like celebrities by company execs, but 30 insiders say Star Trainer's fat-shamed colleagues and slept with riders. Well, they don't call them riders for nothing, do they? Oh, good times. So says the headline from Business Insider. Let's see what was afoot, shall we? In August 2014, Jennifer Brody was working as a studio manager at California's Palo Alto SoulCycle when she met Connor Kelly, a master instructor with SoulCycle. Kelly was in town from the East Coast to teach a class. After that class ended, Brody, who is a black woman, said she changed out of her workout clothes and put a bandana on her head. When she passed Kelly in the studio, she said he laughed and said, "Whoa, Aunt Jemima," in an apparent reference to the syrup and pancake brand. I am going to assume, for the sake of our discussion here today, that the delivery of said line was a very peppy, very spin class instructory. "Whoa, Aunt Jemima!" Like in Office Space when they dine at Tchotchke's and that peppy asshole with all the pieces of flair is walking around chopping it up with everybody. Because that's what it seems like, right? I can't imagine it would be great for business if the instructors at SoulCycle were a bunch of, like, sarcastic, hate-mongering southern racists, like, "Whoa, Aunt Jemima, you best be moving along now. We don't take too kindly to your type around these parts." I don't... For some reason, that doesn't scream SoulCycle instructor in Los Angeles to me. But anyway, let's hear her out. That he felt okay calling me Aunt Jemima in the middle of a studio lobby in Palo Alto was disgusting, Brody recently told Business Insider. Brody said she told a couple of instructors of color about Kelly's remark, but she didn't officially report it because she believed there wasn't anyone who would have cared. SoulCycle kind of turned the cheek on a lot of stuff as long as they were making money, Brody added. Yeah, because there was a time, not too long ago, when nobody would have even realized that Aunt Jemima was apparently offensive. I mean, it was on a fucking syrup bottle for decades. And the bandana sort of kind of ubiquitous with it because nobody really wears bandanas anymore. The utility sort of went out when guys on horseback stopped robbing trains in the American West. They had a great run from pirates through cowboys. Really did the bandana had quite a heyday. But I think at this point, the only population still wearing bandanas are Bloods, Crips, biker gangs, and the occasional Oakland Raiders fan. And that is not exactly a large segment of society. So, when Aunt Jemima is one of the most prolific bandana wearers on the planet, you can see how the guy saw the bandana and probably thought, "Whoa, Aunt Jemima." And since he's one of these peppy fitness assholes, he said it out loud with, he's probably all fucking hopped up on espresso and pre-workout and jizz and testosterone. He probably just shouted it out loud without even contemplating the impact of his comment through the lens of critical race theory, which of course is how we look at everything these days. Back to the article, while SoulCycle instructors were fawned over by riders and the company's top brass, insiders said inappropriate behavior became more commonplace as SoulCycle's cult following grew. While top-tier talent was lavished with perks like Soho House memberships, and in one case, a Mercedes-Benz while teaching in the Hamptons, insiders said SoulCycle's most successful instructors discriminated against a pregnant woman, fat-shamed employees, slept with riders, and used homophobic and racist language. Am I the only one reading this like it's a slight indictment of capitalism? Like, that's really what it sounds like. I mean, treating top-tier talent well really seems to irk the writer. Like, he's saying that you shouldn't aspire, I guess, to cruise around the Hamptons in a nice car, right? Because you're an idiot and you decided to get a job at Business Insider, making 40, 50K a year, and these SoulCycle instructors are out there, they're hustling, they're training high-end clients out in the Hamptons, which, if you're going to do that, if you go out to the Hamptons to train clients, they better be fucking paying you. And this guy's a fucking problem with it. And as for fat shaming, I mean, it is a spin class. You are there to get your fat ass in shape. So I will reserve judgment for now with regard to that, because I would like to know what the fat shaming is. And as for pregnant women, look, pregnant chicks are kind of gross. I understand shaming them as well. I know everyone says everyone lies around pregnant women. Oh, they're glowing. You're glowing. No, they're not. I know everyone loves their kids, but don't lie. Don't lie and tell me that you loved dealing with your annoying, fast food craving, overly emotional, pregnant wife. Annoying as fuck, wasn't it? Remember, think back to those 9 months. Yeah. And by the way, if the Aunt Jemima crack is any indicator of what's considered homophobic and racist, then I'm already siding with the instructors. But you know what? Let's hear it out. Let's hear their arguments. Keep going. Business Insider thinks I'm going to pay to read the rest of their report. They're full of fucking shit. So let's see what Fox News has to say. Kelly was also the subject of complaints about allegedly having sex with clients while teaching at the Greenwich, Connecticut location, the outlet reported. Several people said it was well known that he was sexually involved with a number of his riders, and a former high senior employee said he texted nude photos of himself to clients. That became problematic because people's spouses were complaining, and then it caused a lot of infighting with riders as well, the employee said, according to the report. In 2019, the chain switched him to a schedule of mostly New York City-based studios, but it dismissed the complaints because he was a moneymaker, the former corporate staffer claimed. So what it sounds like, to me, this guy was just slinging dick all over the place. The big factor here, which isn't being discussed, is if these were unsolicited nudes. Because if he's banging a bunch of clients, then there's a good chance that he's texting or kind of chatting with others and is on the verge of banging them, and there may be a lot of nudes going back and forth, and maybe a husband or a boyfriend sees it and gets pissed, right? That's one thing. That could be happening, right? These could be very consensual, requested, solicited nudes. On the other hand, if he's sending unsolicited nudes, just, doing a little, fishing with dynamite, as it were, to see what happens, that to me is fucking creepy. And there are a lot of creeps like that in gym culture. Gym culture is interesting, and I'm always the first to say, hardcore gym dudes are among the best human beings, because I think training instills values like hard work and discipline, and to truly be a hardcore gym dude means that you're helping to maintain the gym, you're you're cleaning up, you're teaching other people from your own experience. Those are all sorts of they're things that turn you into a good person, right? Through helping and being a good gym dude, you also become a good regular dude. But there are also a subset of people who are hardcore in their workout and diet patterns, but only in so much as the working out feeds a certain narcissism. And they're like really fit guys. You'll see them at the gym. They're really fit guys who are happy to leave a dumbbell on the other side of the gym instead of returning it to its rack, or they don't strip the bar after squatting or benching. These are the kind of guys who send unsolicited dick pics. But let's see. Another New York-based instructor, Mike Press, was accused of pressuring a rider, Olivia Atherton, into performing oral sex on him in September 2017 in her Manhattan dorm room. Atherton told Business Insider they were involved in an on-again, off-again relationship when he showed up to her dorm room and repeatedly attempted to press her to have sex before he took his pants off and said, "You at least owe me this." Her two friends contacted SoulCycle about his treatment of Atherton, but after one of them received an initial response, they never heard from the company again, the outlet reported. When Atherton was never contacted, she called headquarters several times, then tagged it in a tweet to which it responded by instructing her to email the company. She reportedly sent emails on September 12th and October 25th that went unanswered. Yeah, so this is the kind of guy I'm talking about. I used to run into a lot of guys like this down the shore. Actually, one of them used to show me his deadlifting videos, which usually consisted of him struggling to pull 315 with atrocious form and barely getting the weight up. And there are, in fact, reports of him one evening crawling into bed with one of the chicks in our shore house and insisting that she hook up with him, almost to the point, I believe, of taking off his clothes and refusing to leave. And it's funny because when I first met him, he had told some story about waking up naked in a chick's bed. So I'm like, I wonder if this is. I'm beginning to think that maybe that was sort of his modus operandi. Yeah, there are all sorts of stories about being this. He was also apparently only able to last for like a grand total of 8 minutes or so. And became, I do recall, obsessed with one chick who had made it clear that she just wants a little tickle pickle, a little summer fun, and he apparently turned into a complete stalker. And I, in fact, later met a chick who dated a friend of his who apparently engaged in equally creepy and psychotic behavior, like breaking into her iPhone, like I guess she had like the code and shit, and turning her lights on and off, and all sorts of other shit. So yeah, these fucking nut jobs are they are indeed out there. The chick who did the pregnant shaming was the same one who got the car to cruise around the Hamptons in. This is Lori Cole. Last summer, Cole was reportedly accused of discrimination by a pregnant rider when she allegedly forced her to move at a Hamptons class from a reserved front row bike, which are typically occupied by the most attractive people in the room, two people told the outlet. She was like, "Oh, no, 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 I need you to come sit here," and put her in the back corner and moved a more fit, attractive person in the front, said a former corporate staffer. The woman sent an email to complain about the incident, but the staffers said, to their knowledge, Cole wasn't disciplined. Look, like I said before, no one wants to look at a pregnant woman. You know when pregnant couples do those photo shoots where the guy puts his hands on the wife's belly? Disgusting. I mean, that shit just grosses me the fuck out. Right? No one wants to think about hemorrhoids and placenta and umbilical cords and your big fucking disgusting pregnant bush hanging out underneath your belly, alright? We're here for fucking spin class, bitch. Get in the back row, move the hotties to the front. We're live streaming this thing, and no one wants to see your gross body on screen while they join in from home. Sorry, preggos. That's how it be. Co-workers told the Insider that Cole exhibited problematic behavior toward studio staffers. She allegedly fat-shamed workers at the Tribeca location, asking the studio manager on several occasions to remove certain ones from shifts because they weren't fit enough, Insider reported. This is great. She has taken photos of staffers who were maybe more curvy and said, "This is not on brand for my check-in. I don't want this at the front desk during my classes," the former manager told the outlet. Hey, look, have we considered the fact that she's probably right? I mean, imagine checking in at the gym and seeing a fat ass behind the front desk. Probably not a very good gym, is it? Now, imagine paying out the ass to go to a Soul Cycle in the Hamptons or New York City and you see some fucking manatee spilling out of a pair of Spanks working the reception area. Are you really going to tell me that doesn't make a difference? If the bar studio or the yoga or the CrossFit down the street has an incredibly fit, attractive staff greeting their customers, do you not think that people will wind up taking their money over there instead? If people are paying top dollar, all right, this isn't Planet Fitness, $12 a month, free Tootsie Rolls, pizza, and bagels. Okay? Soul Cycle is expensive as fuck, all right? Soul Cycle, motherfucker. When you come here, you come correct. Should be their new slogan. No fatties, no preggos, come correct. Soul Cycle, motherfucker. In another incident, Cole reportedly used language that was deemed homophobic in 2017 when discussing the new manager of a Park Slope, Brooklyn studio that was set to open. Referring to the new manager who was gay, she allegedly told another employee, well, they better not hire a bunch of twinks to work there. Now, I have no idea what this chick looks like, but sight unseen, I do not know if I have ever been more attracted to a woman in my life. A fitness chick who can't stand preggos or fatties and realizes that while okay in small doses, twinks can be among the most irritating people on the planet. I mean, good fucking Christ, woman. I would like to know when she's teaching her next class so I can show up and sniff her bike seat after a long ride. Savor the memory for all times. No, I would never... I simp for no woman, but I would love to give this chick just a nice Thanksgiving stuffy. Mash that pussy up like a big bowl of Idaho potatoes, as it were. As for not wanting twinks at your Park Slope location, however, that I will object to. New York City is one of the twink capitals of the world, and Brooklyn especially. If you're at a Soul Cycle in Chelsea or Hell's Kitchen, the West Village, or I would say any of the gentrified Brooklyn neighborhoods, Park Slope among them, then I have to assume that you are actually in the market for a nice slender twink. So, if I'm going to be honest, I do disagree with her in terms of whether twinks would be good hires. I think they would. But otherwise, she sounds like an absolute dream girl. I mean, I want to drive around the Hamptons in a luxury car making fun of fatties and preggos as we pass before heading back to this broad's place for a nice round of fit people fucking. Doesn't that sound like a good time? Yeah. If you needed any further motivation to work out over the holidays, it's so you can have a shot with a chick like that. You can complain about twinks and drop loads right on her tight-toned buns. Do it, baby. Lift weights. Listen to the Savage Sack Tap. And if you're like me, you'll also be watching the Tim Whatley Night Before Thanksgiving episode of Seinfeld, which I personally believe may be the best episode of the entire series. You got George driving around in John Voight's car. Everybody's talking at me. I can't hear a word they're saying. Driving round in John Voight's car. Kramer gets nosebleeds and he puts Mom and Pop out of business. They steal Jerry's sneakers. Jerry has to wear cowboy boots. He doesn't get invited to Tim Whatley's party. It's fucking awesome. So I would say this is how you spend your day before Thanksgiving. You listen to the Savage Sack Tap. You watch Seinfeld. You check out Little Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Steve Martin, John Candy. Amazing. Great fucking movie. And all of a sudden it's Thanksgiving and it doesn't sting so much that the Cowboys suck so bad. But yeah, and if you'd like to say hello over the break, you want to check me out on social media, facebook.com/The Savage Crew, Twitter @Mike Montone, Instagram @Gary_Moyler, Moyler, and of course you can find my blog over at meatheadmedia.com, and be sure to give that a look as well. And it is at this point that I will bid you farewell. Happy Spanksgiving, boys and girls. That's how Ace Ventura would say it. He would say Happy Spanksgiving. But yeah, that's it for me. I will catch you. I am on vacay this week, so I don't know if I'm going to do another episode before the end of the month. But if not, we'll be back by the beginning of December. Either way, I'll catch you shortly. Happy Thanksgiving there, folks.